You,
You
what
was
up?
good, boy.
What up, y'all? How y'all living, man? How y'all living? What up, bro? How you doing, man?
I can't call it, man. I'm good. Just got done doing a little bit of work for G7, but I'm gonna keep that on the low until it's ready to be launched.
Yeah, man. I, I feel good right now, man. It's interesting,
Hmm.
like they say, a lot of people pop in the worst of times.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to be ignorant, but I think because of a lot of what we're going to talk about today,
Hmm.
in a time that is literally catastrophic, it
Hmm.
can be something that catapults us forward, you
Of
know.
course.
And
Of course.
I'm comfortable saying that because what we do really is only good if the people that we work with actually get better. You feel me?
Hmm.
So as we eat, they eat, and that's what it's all about. And just the fact that we on this, like this, John, dope.
Yeah. We literally seen this, John. We were on the platform a couple of days ago with a couple of our guys that we know. Right after we got off, we were excited. Yo, we got to get on this platform. So things move around quickly, and just like you said, though, you know, the pandemic and now the protest and social injustice going on, it definitely feels a little weird to feel good right now because one part of your side is like, yo, like the world is the world is going crazy right now. Obviously it's nothing new to me and you. We've been having this skin our whole lives, but then on a personal level, when we see so much of the work that we put in and now we're starting to see some of the fruit sprout up, it's definitely a dope feeling. It's just a weird timing sense, and when we look back, this year could kind of be a year that we really talk about going on for the future for many reasons. Obviously, for what's going on, in America right now, and then also for what can go for us as as a organization. So it's definitely a weird feeling, because outside I'm empathetic of what's going on, but selfishly, for all the work that we've put together, to see things start to kind of come together as one, it's a pretty cool thing to see.
Hmm. I'm with you because like I just never thought we would be doing this. You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
it's like we just kind of found something to do and just took it and ran with it.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, but something that I'm gonna hold us accountable for is we got to be more disciplined because usually, in this regard, I'm talking about. Usually, we just talk.
Hmm.
Now our goal is to turn this into like a podcast medium, so to make sure we got
Exactly.
some kind of structure to it.
Yeah.
So, first question, and I guess I'll ask it and I'll answer it,
Hmm.
and you supplement with
I mean, if you want, I can ask the question if you want to answer it.
go ahead, ask away.
What is Game 7?
All right, so game 7. Um, game 7 is a brand. I know that sounds really millennial and such. And we've been advised to pick a niche, which we have, but at the same time, our niche covers people, right?
Yeah.
But game 7 started in 2016. I was teaching at a high school in DC when I
Okay.
first started coming into my own as an educator.
Hmm.
Because as a teacher, at least in DC, there's a lot of politics, not to be sarcastic, but a lot of meetings, everything has an acronym, a lot of organizations. It seemed
Hmm.
like the thing that I did the least was teach, you
Hmm.
know? But while I was teaching, this was a group of ninth through 11th graders. I noticed that it was very, very hard to teach.
Yeah.
There's a doctor, a not a medical doctor, but educational doctor
Hmm.
by the name of Kelly McGonigal at Stanford and Boston University.
Yeah.
And according to a lot of studies that she's done with people all around the world, the two biggest fears in the world, according to the general population, is public speaking and math. So
Mm.
that's what I was up against, the two
Yeah.
things that people fear the most. So as a math teacher, already having to deal with that,
Yo.
that was so much harder because my kids would never be quiet when I taught. Like no matter what I did, no matter what kind of support there were, it was really all up to them.
Hmm.
And about probably halfway through the year, my frustrations boiled over.
Yeah.
And I'm not a yeller, I'm not a talker, so I would just stand up front with my hands behind my back, and I would just stare at them and wait till they done. And
Hmm.
then after a million shut the f's up back and forth between them, they finally quiet.
Yeah.
So this one day, I was really, really mad, bro. So I just started teaching them. I really taught them about opportunity. Like, yo, y'all
Hmm.
don't realize like this is your opportunity to learn. A lot of y'all come from right across the street in the projects,
Hmm.
coming from a cyclical family, like victims of the cycle. And for it to break, it's going to be up to you or somebody after you. And your education is an opportunity of a lifetime. And y'all got to realize that opportunities of a lifetime only last for the lifetime of the opportunity. And I
Hmm.
started talking to them about, I asked them, like, yo, do y'all respect me? Everybody said yes. And I told them why I didn't believe them because their actions didn't support it.
Yeah.
Because like their version of respect is like, yo, I don't talk to you crazy. I don't do all
Hmm.
of the other disrespectful things that I do to the other people. So even though you may respect me at a higher level, that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you yet made it to respect. That just means you don't disrespect me as extremely as you do the other teachers and administrators.
Yeah.
Right. So I noticed, then I stopped. Nobody was talking. Everybody was just staring. And like no
Locked
pencils,
in.
no notes.
Look.
Like everybody was like locked in, no talking. And I was like, yo, like why y'all listening now? Y'all don't never listen. And this one dude, he was like, he says, yo, you always tell us that you don't care about math, but you care about us. And this is the first time that you told us why. So boom, like that was a light for me. I was
Hmm.
like, yo, like maybe like that really worked. And we finished class. We had far less class time, but that minimal amount of time, we got so much more work done than we would in a
Ever.
normal amount of time without me talking to them.
Hmm.
Right? So this continued because every day they would make me mad, but I just kept teaching them, teaching them, teaching them, teaching them. And then eventually, I guess other teachers started finding out through students or something like I was getting like written up for not teaching math and not being on scope and sequence X, Y, Z. But I didn't care, you feel me? Because I didn't expect everybody to understand things that were going on in my classroom when they weren't looking. So I
So I'm
continued.
not to mean to cut you off. So what you're saying, you are instilling a culture in your classroom. Is that what you how would you describe it?
I mean, unintentionally,
Yes.
yeah. Like I
Hmm.
wasn't thinking that deep into it.
You were
It
just
just
doing
got
it
to
from
the
the
point.
heart.
Exactly. Like yeah, we got to figure out a way to get through this. Now through that communication, I did change the culture. I did change the environment because they learned a lot of new language. They learned a lot of new skills. They were
Hmm.
exposed to a lot of things that they did not know before.
Hmm.
You feel me? Like one thing I taught them about was being conscious. They didn't know what that means. I was telling them,
Hmm.
yo, pay attention on purpose. And the only thing I need y'all to be conscious about is your talking. Because when you're talking, you are conflicting my message of your education. You're not paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on that one thing, be conscious of that, it'll open up so many other things. You
Hmm.
feel me? Or I would teach them about how in the room I'm the wealthy person, not
Hmm.
financially, but I'm rich with knowledge, and y'all broke. As a teacher, I better have way more wealth than y'all in this fashion.
Of
You feel
course.
me? So you
Yeah.
in the room with a rich person and you broke, wasting your time with other broke people. So now when people talk, they say, oh, broke talking to broke, broke talking to broke.
Yeah, I
Understanding
know.
those little moments will help
Uh-huh.
me as I teach and it will help them learn, you know? So I
Hmm.
continued this and I kept hearing the kids, and I just heard it at this point. You need to quit teaching and become a motivational speaker and a therapist. And they kept saying it. They kept saying it. They kept saying it. And
Hmm.
it got to the point like, yo, we gonna learn today. We're gonna learn about life. We're gonna learn about life. It was like, yo, I can't because I do got to teach math too.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they would try to finesse so they wouldn't have to do the math.
Yeah.
But then even when they did try to finesse, I knew that they really wanted that other information.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a new kind of thirst that they were getting quenched that they weren't exposed to before. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I continued that. That was for 2 years. Then I went to a new school because working at that first school was very, very difficult. Um, I loved the kids. It was hard to leave because of the kids, but just for me and my situation, I thought I could have found a better situation for my lifestyle overall. So I went to a new school with
Mm-hmm.
younger kids, middle school. The kids were a lot more affluent, a lot less of being high risk kids. So a different kind of group. But when I got there about halfway through, it was the same thing. The kids would keep talking, disrespectful, in a little different fashion, but it was something that was continuous all day, every day. So the talk started again, and I didn't really get pushed back from admin at this school like I did in my first school. It
Mm-hmm.
was like the other teachers. Oh, Mr. Malcolm don't teach math. Mr. Malcolm teach this. But the kids loved it. Started
Mm-hmm.
telling the parents and all that kind of stuff. And then one day I got observed by my principal. As a teacher, you always get observed, you get scored, and all that kind of stuff. It's very unfair, but it is what it is. Nobody made me be a teacher in this system. It's my personal choice. Um, but he evaluated me, and this is actually a friend. Like we grew a friendship through our professional relationship. He evaluated me, and he was the reason I went to this school. I said I would never even teach at middle school because it's too much, but I learned the value of an administrator, so I followed him. And he was like, "Yo, your lesson was good, but I didn't bring you here for math. I brought you
Mm-hmm.
here for your ability to cultivate relationships, to maintain them, and to get the most out of the students, faculty, and staff.
Mm-hmm.
Your lesson was good, but everybody was not engaged, and I know that you can get everybody engaged. What you gonna do about it?" So I was like, "All right." And that was just after the point we had the conversation with Just, and I started to think about things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I saw as like impossible goals before, I shifted myself to know that I could get them if I put the proper work in
Yeah.
over a duration of time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna start this organization, just a mentorship group. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm gonna call it Game Seven. I came up with Game 7 years ago. It wasn't nothing new. So we started meeting in the morning for an hour before class. The first week was kind of slow. These kids started telling more kids and more kids and more kids. And by like the second week, kids were sitting on the chairs, sitting on the desks. They were standing like it was packed. It was like standing room only by that time. And we would just meet in the morning and we would just talk. We would watch
Mm-hmm.
ET videos. We would read from books. I would teach them financial literacy. I would teach them about dreams, like dreams when you're awake, not dreams when you're asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And those things started to bleed into class.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and I wasn't really thinking nothing of it. I didn't know how I could get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And a little while later is when you was at the gym, and the dude reached out to you to go speak to the kids at HD,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
high school
I
there.
specifically remember that. Not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I was working at Equinox in DC, and one of the members kind of walked past me, and then just was like, because Equinox is kind of a higher establishment type of spot. So when you see other black or brown folks in those type of establishments, that's when you kind of hit the yo, what's up? So he walked in there and we kind of chopped it up, and then he heard my story, and then based off my energy, he was like, "Yo, like I work for a posse. I work in education. Like, I want you to come speak to our kids." And then when that happened, I immediately, I didn't give him an answer. I hit up my guys because this was at the point where, our minds were turning, and we realized we needed to do something more than just that generic. Let me go speak for the kids. They're gonna hear me, and boom, I'm out of there. And then originally they gave me a price, and that was just for me. And then we ended up getting it to be able to. I'll let you explain it a little bit more, but we ended up being able to, do things for not just me, but more individuals.
Yeah, most definitely. So when you hit us up, and I think like this is just this is like
Timing,
the
it's
perfect.
time.
Well, yeah, timing most definitely, but how we came up with like the programs is the
Hmm.
perfect mix between us.
Yeah.
Like people gravitate to you for whatever
Mhm.
reason. Like you're great with just filling the room up, or you don't gotta say nothing. People just find a way to be attracted to you in whatever ways, like a human attraction. And
Mhm.
he brought it to me like I'm dope with systems, like being consistent and making things and taking something and putting it into something like tangible and being
Mhm.
able to get it out to people. And just as good with like ideas. So like when you brought it in, I was like, yo, don't just talk to them because everybody do that. You
Mhm.
feel me? So let's find a way to not just talk to them. Let's make sure we talk about something and then teach them. Because just was like, yo, they gotta leave with something tangible. So I was like, all right, let's make a book. And then all right, so we all athletes. Let's turn it into not just an hour talk. Let's turn it into the whole day. So
Mhm.
nobody going there for the whole day. You
Nope.
feel me? And then we continue to talk, and we turned it into like a game day. And if you ever played any sports, or you were ever an artist, some kind of actor
Competition,
or
anything,
an
debate
actress,
team. Yeah.
yeah, anything that you got to prepare for, and like you have it at night, that's a team effort. The whole day leads up to the night. Like if you play at 8 o'clock at a high level tonight, you probably gonna have team breakfast in the morning, like at
Hmm.
least a lunch,
Of course.
film,
Might have a
some
couple of meetings.
meetings, or like if you do like prayer at your school or your team or
Hmm.
something, then the last thing you do is the game.
Yeah.
So we kind of turned it into like an educational way to do that, with
Yeah.
the primary means being in the beginning financial literacy, health, and mindset, because we believe those are the three things you needed to really kind of change your life.
Hmm.
So we took that and ran with it, um, and just kind of never looked back. And now we got all of this other stuff, especially next week when we say all of this other stuff, people will be able to understand. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Let's see if I can do this right. If I can show it. I'm gonna take this off. Boom. I'm gonna show that. Boom. So what do we
Oh,
do?
perfect.
You feel me? I'm like that. Shout shout
So
shout out shout
what
out to Silk.
looking so what do we do? So game 7, we teach educators how to connect and lead students who may have a different background. So obviously we're in DCPS, and a lot of DCPS teachers, or it could be any type of organizations, or a coach. And I come from a sports background. In order to be the most effective, you must know, whoever you're working with, your students, your players, your employees, on a personal level. And we use social emotional learning to use that as a catalyst. So, I'll let you talk a little bit more about that, but that's kind of the elevator pitch in what we do. Obviously, we provide so many different services, but that's the main point. If we had to point one thing that we do and we do well, I would say that.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree. Like you said, we help educators connect and lead students who come from different backgrounds than they do.
Hmm.
Um, we were intentional about choosing educators
Hmm.
because educators are not just teachers. If we just have
Hmm.
teachers, we would have said teachers. But anything where somebody is teaching somebody and that other party needs to learn, we can help that connection happen. Whether it's an administrator to teacher, teacher to parent, teacher to student, manager to worker,
Floyd, yeah.
coach to student, parent to son or daughter. The person in the primary position in those relationships is the educator. But speaking specifically in the education field, current data, I can't give you the exact numbers, but number one, schools are more segregated today than they were during segregation.
Mm.
That's a fact.
Hmm.
Number two, there are far more minorities in public education than there are non minorities.
Hmm.
That's a fact. And another fact is the average, according to all the data, most people in the country come from education so just like there's a lot of potential for a disconnect.
Hmm.
Um, so, and what I noticed, like when I was at these schools, it was like things that would be so simple in my eyes,
Hmm.
other people struggle with. And I ain't talking about white people. I'm
Yeah.
talking about people, period. Like you can be blacker than black dealing with somebody else blacker than black, or vice versa. It was just primarily because they came from different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, um, in our culture, we joke a lot.
Yeah.
We joke,
That's
and
like an icebreaker, like the throw a joke, boy. If you don't get your like, that's just the icebreaker.
exactly, like we joke a lot, with adults, kids, or
Mm-hmm.
whoever. And I noticed that the kids joking caused a lot of issues because the adults would misunderstand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because they felt violated, disrespected, XYZ by the jokes, that would lead to a lot of issues, like trying to write the kids up, or the kid would just continue to do it XYZ as opposed to being able to take a step back, maybe throw a joke or two back,
Mm-hmm.
right, and then
Just to be human, just show you a
exactly,
human. Yeah.
exactly, instead of just laughing and then
Mm-hmm.
using it as a teachable moment. Like, yo, that was funny, but like, can we do that later? You
Mm-hmm.
feel me? Like, and then, all right, so what does that mean? That's when our lesson on relationships come in. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Different kinds of inner turmoil, different kinds of expectations. Or I saw that a lot of the kids, in my opinion, would get excuses. You feel me? Like, Timmy's dad didn't come home last night, or he didn't study here. Like, yo, those things may be true. You feel me? But
Mm-hmm.
that's why we have these resources that we can give this young man or young woman, get them in that process, and they continue to do their work. They don't just get to sleep all day because
Mm-hmm.
they've been through something. If you've been through something, yes, you should address it. But that don't mean you just get to
Take the day off.
disconnect
Yeah.
from everything, you know. So I saw a lot of issues like that, and I noticed that therapists in the school started coming to me for issues. Principals started coming to me for issues. Like, I was breaking up fights. I was meeting with parents. Like, all of these things that a teacher just doesn't normally do on paper.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I did all of the extracurriculars except for the extracurriculars,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, like in the hallways, I walk around, knew a lot of people, all these different kind of things, and things that I never really tried. It just kind of happened. You know, so we put the energy there to be able to get people tools to use that. So our primary focus is like teaching educators how to do so,
Mm-hmm.
but we do that first from working with the kids ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So they can see us do it. You know, because every single time, I'm sure you can attest to this, when we do our events, we go to schools, the kids be into it, but it be the
But the
adults.
adults, they be locked in. They be over there, the
Mm-hmm.
aggressive head. Now it's like, Lord
Mm-hmm.
have mercy, relax your neck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole holistic approach. And we got some other things coming up to where you'll be working directly with athletes.
Mm-hmm.
G and KP are got some plans for professionals. Just got some plans for administrators. You know, and then we'll continue to have the balance in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, to answer the question is we help people who are teaching and learning close the gap. You know, like there's a big gap between teachers and staff, number one, teachers, staff, and families, number two,
Mm-hmm.
teacher, staff, and the kids. It's like all different languages, you know?
All
So,
of them.
yeah, so being able to connect those things is where we've committed our time to do so. Anything else you want to add on that?
I mean, that's pretty much it. And we just serve as um examples, like, you know what I mean. We, especially with students, we a lot of our students can connect with us on a personal level, so we show that we know we're human. So a lot of the times when we work with students or anybody we work with, they see this, like, the humanity in the, you know, the empathy that we come from. And it's not like we're doing it just for you know, appraisal or attention. So this is just something that we just do straight from the heart because we care. We were given opportunities,
Mm,
you know, and we capitalize on those opportunities, and we want to continue to allow other individuals to do so as well.
yes, sir. And I think you just touched on something that's pretty dope that we talk about, but once again, because we us, I don't think we value
Hmm.
things the way that maybe other people would.
Hmm.
But like, yes, we are black men, which is rare. But the fact that like our boarding school experience in
Yeah.
C's, yo, that's like a major win and exposure for us.
Hmm.
You feel me? Because like if we just would have stayed in the borough, Willingboro, and not went to the schools, yo, I probably wouldn't have never went to school with anybody outside of the black race, outside of the three people in the city. never. It wasn't because I went to
and if they
HBCU.
were white, they were light skinned white. They was light skinned.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
close your eyes, you wouldn't know what they look like. You
Uh-huh.
know, but that means I would have never went to school with people of a different race because I went to an HBCU. I would
Yeah.
have went to Wilbur, but I went to a school with literally people from I don't know like 100 different countries. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just a whole different thing. As did you, and obviously me and Just went to the same school. So we've been able like we can interact with everybody.
Yeah.
Even at my school now too, I noticed like the Caucasians, the Indians, the Asians, like everybody gravitates towards what we do because everybody got problems. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you winning, it's harder to maintain. So how do I win? Or a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who are successful, they're not fulfilled. You feel me? So everybody along the whole bracket can use help and can get better. You know, but I do think that's something that we don't really speak on is that yes, we're black men, which everybody says, which is I'm not making that less important. But I do think the fact that we were exposed to so much at such a young age, we're a lot more comfortable just dealing with people, period, as
Exactly.
opposed to if we had a different experience.
Exactly. I'll piggyback on that as well. Um, you know, I went to a boarding school that was 55 grand a year that I went for free. People were paying full price on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it led that from going to a place where, not every, a lot of people broke in the borough, right? To a place where you got people who's paying full tuition and that might have two kids that go to the school in there. So it just exposed us to so much more. So now that when I'm in a room, I can be in a room and be comfortable and be confident that like I'm Kendall. I don't have to look around and be like, yo, this is such and such. This is this type of person. They on the yacht. Like I've been there. Like I've been, I've had I've had classmates. I've been to galas, whatever you want to call it. And when I played in the league with, some billionaires, and then I've also, interact with some individuals that do some things that we maybe not supposed to do, right?
Right.
So that ability to connect on such a different level makes what we do so much more powerful because we are able to impact not only the people who look like us, also people who don't look like us, and the people that may not think that they can learn something from us.
Yeah.
So it's so funny whenever we go into the building, the kind of reception we get, and we don't even say anything, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what type of race it is. But especially when we work with obviously young black men, they're just like,
Yeah.
but the dope thing to see is it doesn't matter. We've worked with schools who were predominantly white and the same thing happened, but I account that to us being able to have those experiences, so to pass those experiences along and allow other people to see, like, yo, like, you just got to learn somebody. It's all
Yeah.
good. Just learn and you'll be cool.
100%. And what I'm really looking forward to is when we start to work with jails and prisons. You
Exactly.
feel me? Because that's been I mean, it's impacted you obviously, but especially me. Like
Hmm.
three of my right hand men, like all dudes I lived with for years,
Yeah.
um, all between Joe, Matt, and another person, lost a lot of their time. You know,
Yeah.
so I would love to be able to help people with that because
That's part of your
sometimes,
experience.
yeah, and sometimes those things happen, but for the people I know, those things were real preventable.
Hmm.
You know, those were real preventable if they were able to get over some of the things that they were
No
doing.
doubt. No doubt.
All right, so next question. Boom. I'm gonna ask you this one because you should know this one.
Hmm.
So, what does
You
Game
should
Seven
know.
stand for, and what does that mean? Let's start off. Let's just do the first two. What does Game
So
Seven stand for, and what does that mean?
Game 7 stands for goals and ambition mean everything. And the 7 stands for 7 days a week. So what does that mean? Obviously, if you don't have goals and ambition, you can't really reach a next level that you're trying to achieve. So what we want to do, and then also if you're familiar with sports, Game 7 is one of those games, win or go home. So we're bringing that effort all day long. Like, yo, if I don't win, I'm going back home and packing. So that's where we come with Game 7. It means so much to us that you gotta live every single day. Like, yo, like, if I don't make the most of this opportunity, it's over for me. and not in a literal sense, but that's just the kind of the mentality that we have to have, because if we want to have live successful lives and break different cycles and chains that have been, a part of our family or anything, any type of culture, then it starts with, your goals and then the ambition. And without those, you just have literally dreams where you're just sleeping rather than actually living them and trying to achieve them.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Um, it's 6:32
You
FYI.
good? I got it pulled up on my phone, brother.
Cool. All right, so goals and ambition mean everything.
Yep.
Seven days a week.
Hmm.
Not well 7 days a week, but like it's the last game. It's
Of
when to
course,
go home.
there's a double meaning to that as well.
Yeah, don't ask me how. You feel me? Don't ask me how. And but so I'm gonna start on the last two. What does that mean and why is it important? So there is a general understanding amongst society that says that you get breaks.
Hmm.
You feel me? There's not a general understanding amongst society that breaks are earned.
Hmm.
We think that we, generally speaking, to everybody, we think that because we did XYZ time of XYZ thing, we get a break.
Yeah.
As opposed to we did XYZ time with XYZ thing and we got XYZ results, then we get a break. And you, just like although your experience was a little bit different, being that you were an athlete, but after college for me, really, yeah, I guess kind of for you too. You can speak on that, but like after college for me is when like my life started to fall apart. It never fell apart, but like now that I look back, I was definitely depressed. I was real ignorant.
Angry boy.
Yeah,
Don't forget that one. Loose
yeah,
cannon.
real sharp, you know, real short. Um, but
Literally.
because I ain't, but because I did not know, right? Because I did not know. Um, I see
Dog
you,
going crazy
Adonis.
outside.
I'm gonna pause this real quick. The conversation. So Adonis said, "Where can we get Game Seven merchandise?"
Don't worry.
I'm gonna
Rub hands like Birdman.
I'm gonna just go like this, Adonis. But I'll say that we got some multiple announcements coming this weekend, and next week that won't be a question. How about that? But to be honest, it's coming soon, Adonis. But within the next week, y'all can buy any Game Seven things you want to buy. But back to the question. What was I saying?
You were talking about what it meant, and then you were about to say why it's important.
Yeah. Oh, it's important. Oh yeah, because after school, right?
Hmm.
Um,
You were depressed.
but
You were.
like, I wasn't using my time correctly.
Hmm.
I hated my job.
Hmm.
I spent like all my time at work and
Hmm.
all my time away from work. I was doing things to escape from the fact that I had to go back to work.
Hmm.
And then like having real finances to deal with now, and everything I was really going through. Nobody I know intimately had been through that experience,
Ever.
so I was figuring it out on my own, and it was just bad. But one thing that we say now is when you get off work, when you get out of school, when you get home from whatever your normal daily activity is, you
Hmm.
use the rest of your day to change the rest of your life.
Hmm.
So when I hated my job, I was very disciplined, very adamant about getting a new one. So I did tons of applications, but I did nothing for myself. I did nothing to learn how to handle the stress. I did nothing to learn how to take control of my life. I did
Hmm.
nothing to learn about people who may be in my same position and learn about things that they may be doing. I
Hmm.
had no entrepreneurial spirit. I was just in a bad place. And then
Hmm.
when I quit my job, got the new job, I was there for only a week because they wanted to raise my hours from 40 a week to 70 a week with no
Heck
increase
no.
with no increase in pay.
Hmm.
Right. So I knew I had other options where I could run through the streets and get some bread. So I
Hmm.
quit. And I was just running around doing stupid stuff now that I look back, trying to get some bread in my pocket. But Made it for a couple years. Um, then one like 1 week, I lost like a whole lot of money at that time. More money than I got now, and I'm doing it right. I lost a whole lot of money very, very quickly, and that was like a news flash that I had to change how I was living when I
Mhm.
got back into the job thing. Um, and that took a couple years, but until like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I was like, well, what's my goals? I didn't have no goal. I had accomplished them all. Like I'm sure your goal was just to make it to the league. It wasn't to
Exactly.
be all. It wasn't to be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-mm.
Because all my life it was like, yo, go to college, get a job, then you'll have a good income. You can be able to take care of your family. And it wasn't that. The world
Yeah.
has changed since then. And also, a lot of that advice came from people who are in positions that I wish to be far beyond. So you
Hmm.
got to take that advice and use their experience, but then you got to make your own choices.
Hmm.
So then I started coming home and every day, this is game 7 days a week. I treat it every day like it was my last day. Not like I'm about to die, but I use my time like I may not get that time back
Hmm.
for whatever reason. So I cut TV off. I cut music off. I cut music off. Like
Hmm.
I'm really shifting. I just started watching every YouTube video to like motivate myself to learn. I started reading books about business, about mindset, about teaching, about XYZ. I started working out every day. I've always worked out 3 or 4 times a week, but like literally every day. We came up with the 90-day commitment, and I started treating every day like it was my last.
Yeah.
Literally every day. I made sure I did something for my mind, did something for my body, and did something for like my spirit, my mental, all of those different kind of things. And then, as they say, the universe starts to
A
turn for
line.
me, you know. And that is hasn't been easy. It still isn't easy, but like now there's promise because of the relentless effort that we
Hmm.
put into ourselves. And I finally figured out like it wasn't about me. Like when you suffer,
Hmm.
that's because it's about you. You feel me? Like, oh, I gotta wake up and go to work. That's because you thinking about you. You're not, oh, all right, I'm gonna go to work so I can get this bread and I'm coming
Hmm.
on with these positions to get out. Like, make it about somebody else. Make it about something else so you can keep going. Because just because you're tired don't mean that you get to stop. So I think that the game 7 way of living is important because we got a lot of distance to close. Like the world now, especially our country,
We're
is in
seeing it,
shambles
and they
because,
seeing that distance.
and we're seeing it. You feel me? Because uh, it hasn't always been the most fair setup, if ever. You feel me? But the way that we live, we like, all right, that's cool. It ain't right, but it's cool. So while y'all chilling on the weekends, I'm gaining 2 days. I'm closing that 2 day gap. By waking up at 5 instead of 7, that's an extra 14 hours a week that I have to make up. You feel me?
Hmm.
And that allows us to really close the gap between who we were and who
Hmm.
we're going to be, and
Hmm.
also between us and our competition.
Hmm.
Because, like you said, there's not a lot of people that look like us that do what we do and do what we're trying to do, and
Hmm.
that's cool. We've accepted that difference, so we got to use every weekend, every evening, every morning to make up for the deficit that we have to overcome.
Hmm. And to piggyback what you were saying, to share a little bit of my story. Um, yeah, like my journey to the NFL, like I didn't even want to play football like as a senior in high school. Like I wanted to play baseball. And then I kind of learned that baseball, since more people who are are financially stable, and they don't need to get scholarships in baseball because it's a low funded sport. So baseball doesn't get that much scholarships. So that's the only reason why I just still decided to play. And I was like, I didn't want to quit on my teammates. I made it this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So in college, like, my goal was really like to just play and contribute. And then as a freshman, I came in and I led our team in touchdowns. Like I was all conference as a freshman. I'll never forget, like when I got that call, like, yo, like I was taking a nap. And my roommate Javon was like, "Yo, bro, like they just announced that you was all conference." I was like, "Stop playing with me." And then I picked up my phone, and then this will happen. And my coach, Stacy Tutt, he played at Richmond too. He kind of told me, was like, "Yo, like I don't think you understand. Like you have a proto. I just came from the league. Like he literally came from the league. He would even run conditioning tests with us, and sometimes do indie with us in practice because he was still trying to if he got a call, he was going to dip. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea about I had no denials about that. Like he would have dipped if he got a call.
Mhm.
But that was dope. So coming from someone who literally, I'm 19 years old and someone's probably like 26, 27 who just left the league and was like, bro, like you can play, like, you know what I mean? And my senior year, I was a late bloomer. Like I didn't really do much my junior year. I was like a Swiss Army knife, and I just played where they wanted to me to play. So the longer it went, like the more success I was having. Like my goal was to make it to the league. And then I got to the league. Once I got to the league, I was like, all right, cool. Like then I got cut. Then I was like, all right, like my next goal is to make the 53. And then I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a vision. I didn't have a plan financially. I didn't have a vision financially because I was never taught this. And then, I was going practice squad before I got active. So like I wasn't even making that much bread. And then when it finally came to the point where I started making the bigger bread, it was like, oh dang, I got bread now. Like whatever. This is crazy. I have so much access to stuff and to people I've never had before. So it kind of opened my horizon and brought, but I still didn't have any more goals. Like I've reached that level. Like, I didn't have that mindset. I didn't have that mentality to keep going because I did what I wanted to accomplish. And then once football was kind of over for me, and the hardest thing for me was that it didn't end on my terms. A lot of people are like, well, I'm gonna retire or whatever. For me, it just kind of didn't end on my terms. I didn't get re-signed. So it was just like, all right, like here it goes. And so when that happened, it kind of opened my mind to a lot of things that I was hiding because I was hiding behind that identity of a football because it masked everything that I was going through. My daddy issues, my identity issues, going to a school that was full of financially free white people, and I was a black kid that was broke. Like I was over here on the phone, people getting mad that their parents didn't send them thousands of dollars. Like I swear, my freshman year, and we still weren't allowed to have cell phones freshman year, so we had to do the old school joint where you called on the like line. This dude was
Yeah.
yelling at his mom, was like, "All you got to do is just give me $2,000." I'm like, yo, I'm cool if somebody send me 50, like
Mhm.
$50. So it was
Mhm.
just like so crazy to me. But then like a lot of the things that my anxiety, I realized now that I was older what anxiety was. I felt like I failed. Or I felt like I was letting everyone down. So all these feelings that I was masking behind the ability to go out and forget everything when I put that helmet on was
Mhm.
suddenly right at my doorstep and I had to address it, right?
Mhm.
So then I moved to Michigan. This is the first time in my life that I literally um are, I'm by myself. Obviously, I had my old football coach who coached me, but he was 50 years old with his own family. Um
Mhm.
so this was my first time in my life that I was by myself and I was turning over that my enlightenment period where I was starting to realize, yo, this is real. Like I was angry, I was bitter, I had so much resentment. And then, I'm sure you can remember in our group chat that I was always reaching out like, yo, like I gotta get out of here. I would call Moscow, Michigan. Like I enjoyed what I did, like as a educator. That was awesome. But it was just like I didn't have that support system. I wasn't around the people that needed me, that I needed to help me thrive. I wasn't around people who had the same mindset that I wanted to be, and it was kind of driving me crazy. So I made the decision to kind of move to the DMV area, um, to get a grasp of that. And it took me from losing, football, the thing that kind of allowed me to reach certain heights and see certain things and allow my family to see certain things for me to go in order for me to find myself. So it was that's why it's so important for me because I understand what it feels like to not really have to not really have a way or not really know how to learn or not really been taught any of these skills. So it's so important for me because I don't want people to kind of feel that same pain. My bad. I'm trying to put this like computer charger in. I didn't want people to feel that same pain and misery and suffering that I served because I didn't know how to cope with and manage my feelings. I didn't know how to be emotionally intelligent, and I was just drowning. And then I was around a bunch of people, and it changed the way I started thinking, and that's why I get so excited whenever I'm in a situation where I can serve other people because I know those feelings, and we have a dope combination of the people who work with Game 7. We got a dope combination of so many different experiences, so it makes us so special and unique to interact with. So that's why it's so super important to me. I know I kind of was rapping on that, but my chest is warm because I'm passionate about that. Like, I know what it feels like to not get any sleep, to worry, to wonder, like to think I'm literally going crazy, because I'm trying to figure out all the stuff that, like, I threw away, I threw back in my subconscious, and then I started consciously making it and learning and realizing that, like, yo, like, I did certain things for X amount of years, and it's going to take time for me to overcome those things and unlearn them and relearn them. And so I took that moment, I sat and I just made the commitment to have a growth mindset and a growth mindset process. So it's a pretty dope experience because building something, and I always like to tell some of the students, like, yo, I'd rather be somewhere on the ground with 3,000 followers that I maybe get like 100 likes, right, consistently over years, and then my page builds, versus someone who gets overnight get one of them viral vids, because the person who goes viral, then they'll do anything and everything to compromise who they are as a person to stay on top, because they reached it. With somebody with a plan to grow in the long term, they don't need that instant gratification right away. They realize that the process is really the part that's going to make you, because they realize all the hard work and the planning that comes involved with it. And when you just make that instant viral kind of thing, it's no planning, it just happens. And then once that happens, it leaves you scrambling to figure it out. So I kind of live that life, that viral lifestyle, of that fast life. And then, obviously life happened and my perspective changed. So I just want to be a catalyst for other people to open their eyes and see life in a different perspective.
Nah, that was good, man. I took notes. Like, this is exactly how Game Seven started off with the kids. Like, we would watch something, we would have a conversation, and I would take notes. And I think that a lot of people, teachers, educators, XYZ, they'll just have the conversation,
Hmm.
but they won't use it as a learning experience,
Hmm.
primarily because they're not informed. And
Yeah.
one thing I got a gripe with the educational system about is how they pump SEL to the teachers,
Hmm.
social emotional learning, basically, for layman's terms, like therapy based teaching. But the teachers don't get trained. The data says that the number one most stressful job in America is the working parent.
Mm.
So we're all that. Number two is the police.
Hmm.
Three is EMTs. Four are teachers. So we got like the four and one combined. So like the second, third, whatever, most hardest job in the country. And we going through so much on our own. So there's a lot
Hmm.
of broken people, people who are struggling just to make it through the day, trying to teach other people how to not be broken.
Hmm.
Down really add up, you know. But you said a couple things. First, you said that the goals drive you. I agree. Like, that's where we struggle because our goals were too low.
Hmm.
Like, our goals were set. Hey, yo, just get everything was school.
Hmm.
But once we got done with school, we accomplished our goal. We got past the point that those that set that goal for us ever got. So like, we ain't know what to do, and that's why I know we're game seven, but goals is the second level. The highest level is a process. After you accomplish your goal, you got to go on to the next one. That's why when Michael Jordan won the first chip, he put up two fingers. The second, he put up third. Third, he put up fourth. Kobe did the same thing. Go back and look. Like, oh, I got four, I'm on the five. They automatically put it up. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, two of the top five coaches ever in football. They got a 24-hour rule. They celebrate the shit for 24 hours. They right back to it. Michael Phelps, he trains the next day after he won all of them medals. You
Mm-hmm.
feel me? So they don't focus on goals. They focus on the process. And when your goal is to be the best, not to be good, not to be great, not to be elite, but to be legendary, it never stops. Like
Mm-hmm.
Kobe was a legendary player, but he was focused on being a legendary person. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was his next goal immediately. Kobe Inc. to dominate Asia and to do all of the things with the young ladies in basketball, or maybe just the women in basketball. Period. Right. But we always kind of had like one goal and not really ours. Like we were just stuck in this thought process. Like I'm gonna get to school
It was programmed.
and that's it, right? And we weren't taught. But that's because, especially in our culture, at least from the people that we've been around growing up, that we are taught to survive, not taught to thrive. We're only taught to survive. So all of the thriving things, we don't know. Like that's why, like doing like this game 7 stuff, y'all, it's hard. You feel me? Like this part is easy, the services, but like the business structure and making sure that you even in the place to get contracts and to do all that things are tough. But we ain't really got nobody to help us. Like we got YouTube and we reading books, and now we got somebody who reached out and it's helping us get through the process. But like the legal business structure and all that kind of stuff, this
We
is the
don't
first
know
time.
that.
You
Yeah.
feel me? This is the first time because we come from survivors and not thrivers, right? And we also come from a population to where at some point most of us have already given up.
Hmm.
You know, like we just waiting on our funeral. Like we just existing. We like the Walking Dead because we don't really got nothing driving us. We just trying to make it to the next week, the next year, or the next
Like
whatever.
day.
Yeah, you feel me? Or just to the night, just to get home. But I think our goals were too low and we got them too easily because we weren't taught that goals never stop. And we
Hmm.
also were taught that we focus on what you got from your goals
Hmm.
as opposed to focusing on what you become from accomplishing your goals. You
Hmm.
feel me? Like that's why I hate an educational system that kids get things for doing good. I'm not saying they should not be
Yeah.
rewarded. I'm not saying they should not be rewarded, right? But when it's obvious that they only doing the work so they get the candy, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Yo, make sure you teach them, yo, you're doing this work so that you can become more intelligent. Then after you become more intelligent, your grades will change and you maintain that. I will give you a choice on a reward. But you're not getting a reward if you don't understand what went into you getting this reward.
Hmm.
It's like we get so focused on things. And just like from the social media eye, looking at the things that are going on now, a lot of
Hmm.
tangible things are distracting the movement from the outside looking in. Like some of the looters, I don't know if it's some or many who are not doing the looting for a proper cause or something. That's because they want the things. They want the Jordans. They want
Car.
the
Yeah.
cars or whatever. You feel me? Now some people I'm sure are doing that out of anger, and there may be groups who have been plugged in. I I don't know how that goes, but I do know that some people are just focused on what they're getting from their goals as to focusing on what they're becoming. So I think that's a big thing. Um, and then I do think that the game 7 mentality, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Hmm.
Like I think it's no coincidence that when we came up with the 90-day commitment last year, so the 90-day commitment was 90 days straight. You do at least 20 minutes of reading to learn, not for pleasure. 20 minutes of something entrepreneurial, learning about business, starting your business, growing your business, sitting in a circle with your family talking about business, something for 20 minutes. And then
Vision
also,
boards. Yeah. Anything.
yeah, and then also take care of your body for 20 minutes. So that's 60 minutes, 1 hour a day for 90 days straight.
Hmm.
People gave us the blues.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. They.
I don't gotta work out every day. I don't gotta read. I don't have to do it every day. I gotta
Hmm.
take a break. You feel me? Small goals. And we pushed them, we pushed them, we pushed them. But now, after we changed our level of goals, we changed our lifestyle that started to bleed into other people. Because now it's more people. Like even my mom hit me this morning. She like in 30 something days in a row. My girl like 60 something days in a row. Uh,
Hmm.
G running like crazy. Mr. Charles doing stuff every day. Just been on it. KP, like people close to us, and it's just from the Instagram post. Just 20 minutes, and then eventually we start.
Accountability, man.
Exactly. Then eventually we stop counting because people who are counting, I learned, and they're planning to stop. Like I stopped counting at 90 because I'm gonna keep going past 90. I'm gonna just do it every day. You feel me? And I'm gonna bring this in too, but I do think, like you said, we didn't have our experience was so different. Like I agree.
Mhm.
Like when you said your friend at school was, just give me $2,000. In high school, sometimes it was so hard, yo. Like I would be starving. I would be starving.
Starving, fam.
I was literally
Hey,
starving,
yo.
starving.
So in
You
our
feel
high
me?
school, we had something called I'm sure a lot of people are aware of this, but per diem, right? So when we had away games, they would give us something like $8 or something, so you can get food. So what I would do, because it would be few and far between. Appreciate that, Carlos. Appreciate
Yeah,
that,
thanks, host.
Carlos.
Thanks, host.
Um, but yeah, so what I would do is like, cause I didn't know when I was gonna get sent like bread, like, um. I would I would get a couple of things and then I would save some of the per diem. So if we did go to the movie or something like that or the mall, like I started like learning to save. I would get like two double cheeseburgers and a drink off the dollar menu and pocket five. Like
Mm,
um and that's what I had to do because I couldn't call to the crib and like yo, let me get XYZ. That wasn't
mhm,
the lifestyle. I had to learn to this is my journey and this is how it's gonna be. Like and I'm responsible for that. I'm not responsible for how I got myself into it, but I'm
mhm,
responsible for how I get myself out. And that's a way especially with a bunch of the students, some of the students we work with in DCPS, like you're not responsible for being in this and being born in this, but it is your responsibility to do something about it and not just
it's not their fault.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not their fault.
it's not their fault. My bad, I
Mhm,
misspoke. It's not their fault that they were born into this or whatever. It's not their fault, but it is their responsibility for trying to do what they can do to better their situation.
mhm. 100%. Like I said, starving. Like, and you did that with the per diem. I used to steal. Like I used to steal peanut butter and jelly, bro. I would wrap it up in a napkin, and I would like put it in my drawer. I would take two of them because we ate 3 meals a day,
But we ain't really
but
had
like
no snacks. Like,
just the demands. Like by the time we had practice and school and all that, then you go to dinner, then study hall. Like you get hungry when you use your brain. I gotta learn more about that, but I know I'll be way more hungry when I'm mentally drained as opposed to physically drained.
hmm
Right. So then after the whole day at nighttime, you had from like 10 to 10:30 to go to the grill, like
we had one of those too.
the
It
marquee
was called the
spot. Like
Fir Tree.
yeah,
Yeah,
you feel me? Like a little brunch
like little
kind of
spot.
place. Yeah, the little spot.
I ain't even,
You know,
I used to be like, yo, bro, like what's up? You got me? Like,
see, I would never ask people. Like my grandma used to give me $30 a week when she could,
yeah,
and like the chicken tenders was like $4 or something. I would get them every night,
no
and if I
jokes was
couldn't,
fine.
I would steal the peanut butter and jelly, and
Uh,
then once a week it was like muffin day in the morning from like Dunkin' Donuts,
ooh,
and I didn't have class in that morning. Like I would have classes like later, like I had first period off,
give
so
me
that's
that.
the golden day where everybody's sleeping late. I would wake up early, go get the muffins, bring them back, put them in my drawer, just so I could have something. You feel me?
Uh-huh.
So just being exposed to that, like, I don't want my kids to have to go through that.
Same here.
But also, every time I see the memory on, like I like to Facebook old, but I like to post on it just so I can look at the memories.
Yeah,
So it's like I use it like a diary, like a journal. And every time I see the memory of my man Max, Max, if you ever see this, I always send him a message on his birthday when I see the memory. But I think this was my freshman year or senior year. I can't remember which one, but I remember the dorm. It had to be freshman year. He took me to his house for the weekend, and he took me to the Nets versus the Pistons game, like the Eastern Conference Finals.
dang,
Right.
I ain't even know that.
I had my Nuggets jersey on. Bob McAdoo maybe like the throwback. It's like
Look,
purple and the hat. And we was
and
on the
then and that jersey was probably down to your shin, boy. What
yeah
you
the big John with the rainbow, right? We was on the second row, and right behind us was like Lloyd Banks and like he signed my joint, and it was a
I
dope
remember that
experience
hat.
to go do that. But yeah, I gotta say that my man house, I ain't never been in no house like this. It was in by Blair, surprisingly,
Mhm.
in the cut, and it was like a farm. Like when you first get there, you can't even see the house. Like it's like a ranch. It was just
Mhm.
horses running everywhere, right? We drive on this long driveway and through like this basketball court to the garage, and they had like a cliff, like with a pool in the cliff. Like
Oh
clearly they
no,
got a
that's
custom
tough.
made pool
Yeah, that is
system throughout. The first time I seen hunting,
the
what they
little
call it,
joint trophies,
beds.
the whole
Yeah,
hunting
bro.
trophies.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this animal's huge. Like it was just a whole next like curtains moving. Like the soap had rocks in it. Like it was next level,
He
bro.
was in that
I
spa soap.
yeah, I've never been like just being exposed, and it was the day of the Kentucky Derby too.
Mm.
Um, so they brought me in, and his mom showed me about horses and stuff. I got to ride. I ain't ride. I was scared, but they brought like I'm like a horse. Like that. We was playing basketball. I was like, a horse? Like they caught me off guard. So I guess I was so scared. I wasn't prepared to put myself out there like that. But just that experience, like knowing people live like that, and that
Hmm.
we've been exposed to, I think that's also something that drives us. Because we had the times with the per diem instead of the peanut butter and jelly, but you had the time in the league. I've been exposed to a lot of crazy stuff. So we got both sides, and we both
Hmm.
feel like, yo, since we've been there already, there's no reason why we can't get back. So
Hmm.
once again, that takes the goals up. And one thing that we haven't spoken on yet is the team. I think that's the only reason why we've been
Success.
successful to this degree with this in terms of building up this potential, which can hopefully be kinetic and we can get results. But it's only because of the team.
Hmm.
Like it's only because of the team. Like if it was just me, I don't think it would work. Like
Hell no.
I could do it, but
But
a
it'd
lot
be
of
very
people.
hard because
Yeah.
everybody plays. Everybody's a superstar in a
uh-huh.
role. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously you're the founder and you create the systems. I know one of the things, my presence, my energy, my experience of what I bring, that brings it. Just is one of the wild cards that he's going to bring the ideas, but he's working to get better with socially. And then G is the brains behind the operation, and KB is the master behind um the camera. So but I think that it's our personalities. We have a bunch of personalities that feed off of each other. With one, um, you aren't as social as me, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as systematic and structured as you. So, you know, feeding off that's perfect. Like, you thrive in one system, and that doesn't mean we can't get better or we don't need to learn it. It just means that that's our role in our team. Like we looked at the last dance, like Rahman wasn't scoring any points, but he was a key pivotal part of their success. He added toughness, he added that edge. People were scared of that man. He was a dog, like and he just came with relentless effort, and it didn't even amount to scoring a point. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that when you're a part of something that's bigger than you, everyone um has to play their role. And I think it's really important because like we play sports, right? We all of us in all five of us in game 7 will all come from sport backgrounds. So um having that connection to the team sport dwindles egos, because everyone understands that the team dynamic, some people are going to thrive in better situations than other, and that's just the reality. That doesn't mean what you do isn't important. It just means that each piece for the team is what we need from
Mm-hmm. Got you. So just for the sake of time, and move us forward, and we'll close out with one last question. So I will ask you this, and then I'll follow up and close it out.
word.
So let's get this out of here. Let's pull this up. So, what has Game Seven taught us so far?
uh I started off. It definitely taught me that, like, what consistency, momentum will pick up. A lot of people, after doing something for a couple of days and they don't see the physical results, for them, a lot of it is they may give up because it's hard to see. It just showed me that being a part of something bigger than you, that you can leave, you know, after you're here, because our goal, we want to make this huge. So
Mhm.
being part of a group that wants to collaborate, become, great amongst ourselves, and encourage other people to be great. I think that's one of the biggest things that it taught me, and it's taught me that, like, everything happens with time. You can't just expect something to change overnight, because I've learned so much, so small, like, about so small details. Like, obviously you learn about the importance of details when you first start the English language, when you're describing stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but to have the ability to go through that process, and trust it, and be vulnerable in the system, and realizing, yo, like, I'm taking this leap of faith with my fellas, and if this thing works out, it works out. Like, and if we're struggling, we're gonna have to try to figure out what it is we have to do to turn that around. So kind of, along the way, it just taught me a growth mindset, and that's the biggest thing. um because without a strong mindset, a lot of things that I believe that you can't really achieve a lot of things. You may be able to achieve something, but it won't have longevity without a growth mindset. So I
Mhm.
think that's one of the biggest things that um, the process of Game 7 has helped me, especially personally in my life, because um, I come from a team background, and to um, lose a team in one sense of my life, and gain another team, and helping other people, and serving other people, that's really important for me.
Yeah, got you. And that's exactly where I would go with it too. This is definitely, it's most definitely taught me the value of a team,
Hmm.
um, and not just in the way that everybody, standardly speaks about a team, but
Hmm.
in like what a team is, right? So how we define a team is a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose,
Yeah.
set up performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. So skills, purpose, goals, and accountability.
Hmm.
And like all of this really started from Just
Hmm.
giving us that speech. Then like I took it and ran with it. Then we came together. But I think like whenever we make a movie about this, it's got to be based off the group chat.
It is. Oh, that group chat is
It's got to
fire.
be based off the group chat. So I will share this with the young people. If you got a phone with a group chat, this for you. So our group chat for years, and
We are,
number one, I noticed like a gift about
and
me.
it's not even young people. Anybody, for real,
People,
for
yeah,
real.
who in a group chat. But something I noticed about me, like, is although I'm not a people person, I got a gift for connecting with people, like on an intimate basis, and bringing people together. Cause like our circle is like all for me. I didn't make it, but like I'm the common bond between everybody.
Mm.
Like yo, this is my cousin KG. Yo, this Just. Like I went to school with G and Ray. And then like people, and then like
This my brother. Yeah, this
everybody
my
built their
brother. This
own.
Leah little brother. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody built their own bonds off of that. Um, but once we started to shift, like our group chat was just jokes, social
Sports,
media, what
memes.
may be going on. Um, many of us at the time were single, so the men talk, all these different kind of things, like no value added.
Yeah.
And then when it shifted, I was like, yo, I'm gonna make another group chat to where we only gonna talk about value added. We're gonna talk about mindset, money, just anything where it's gonna be value. Like we ain't gonna have no fun, like all business. And then only a couple of us shifted over. And like other people was mad, like, why I'm not in the group chat, isn't it? Like, yo, I asked you when I made it, and you was like, nah, you was hesitant. So you could start to see the separation off the rip. Like
Hmm.
whoever was in the group chat then, we ain't even talking to the other one no more. Like it
Yeah.
was dead. So just to communicate, like hold each other accountable, the things that we're working on, and then we got another one, and it just kept going. And like now it's like an
So it's like
office building.
6 brackets of our group
Yeah,
chat,
it's like an
and
office building. Like this chat we talk about this. This chat is it's like teams and meetings and all that kind of stuff. and it's completely changed at least everything for me and how we have our team. And like we in all these different directions, but we in all these different directions together.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily because we collectively started working 7 days a week and got some vision, which gave us direction. So we've been moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, and I feel like we at this point now,
Mm-hmm.
like right before this, you feel me? And like we've been
And
grinding it out on that
and
slow uptick before it takes off.
and the crazy thing is like we were moving like this before we seen any major results. So,
Yeah.
and I think that that's key to add because, you know, when you're starting anything, you know, the first thing people want to do is get that quick result, and that's just not the reality. And it may work out for you. Some people get lucky, but for the majority of us, you know, it takes planning and it takes visualization, it takes faith, and it takes
Mm-hmm.
hard work. Like
Mm-hmm.
hard work. It's been times where I wanted to do stuff, and I was like, I got to do this because if I don't do this, I'm gonna let them down. Like that's the thought in your. That's when you know you're part of something that's really gonna be great or bigger than you. And when you think like, yo, I don't even want to like I'm going to do this because if I don't do it, I know they're gonna be on my head. Like this is what I have to do. This is my responsibility. And there's been plenty of times like we all had to check each other, like, yo, like, what you doing? And we still continue to do that. And like I feel like a lot of times from outside people, if they when they see or hear how we talk to each other, like, yo, y'all really friends? Y'all really boys like that? But nah, I think it just comes down to like feedback and criticism. And you know, if you could take feedback and then be willing to adjust, I mean, not take it personally, then you know you do wonders. But if you want to take it the personal ego route, then
Mm-hmm.
you know you can do it that way too.
Hey man, so let's end it right there. I wrote that down. Basically, what you just said, an environment will change a person far before a person changes an environment,
Hmm.
right? So that's what the group chat has been for us. And ideally, when we come in and work with people, whether it be a school, administrators, a company, a team, our goal is to get the people on that team in that building to change their environment.
Hmm.
Because to grow, you don't need new people. You just need new direction, which we got. The perfect example to close out is a couple years, probably 7 years ago, 5 years ago, um, UCF, University of Central Florida football. They was like 0-12, like they didn't win a game.
Hmm.
Then they got a new coach, Scott Frost, who's now at Nebraska. And he came in and completely changed the culture, the practice schedule, the locker room, the meeting rooms, the way things were. And the next season, they won a couple games. But then 2 years later, they went undefeated.
And they get
And
people drafted.
they ended up beating Auburn in
Hmm.
the whatever bowl, one of the New Year's Six
And
bowls,
they got themselves a national championship because they was the only team undefeated that year, I
undefeated.
think.
Right? And
Them in Alabama.
they also had 99% of the same players. So it wasn't like they got all these new recruits. It was the same team.
Yeah.
But they just used their time, changed their culture, had some directions, kept it going until they got results. You feel me? So
Mhm.
that's game 7. We help educators connect and lead students who come from different backgrounds than they do. We want to leave you with an experience that'll help you change your environment, it'll change your mind, and it change mine, it'll change lives. Easy work.
Easy work.
So let's see if I can end this off the right way. Let's see how it goes.